Hello everyone, this is Naidu from Techno Legal Forum. Last class we have discussed about typical protocols, primitive protocols I would say, or unsecure protocol, PAP, and various aspects of it. Then we also discussed about challenge authentication protocol. In today's class we'll discuss Microsoft implementation of Challenge Authentication Protocol version 2. Okay, then we'll follow up with other protocols which are, as I mentioned, they are currently used in an enterprise network on organizations. Okay, this you can find commonly being used in those environments. Before we see that, where exactly, see, the understanding protocol is one thing, but where exactly its usage, in what situations these protocols are acting, is acting inherent, transparently, that we will not be doing any actions as such to identify particular protocol is in action. There will be happening as we speak, when the users or the machines or the process gets authenticated, when they access the resources, all these protocols will be in action. The whole objective of is to ensure, again, CIA, right? I was mentioning about CIA, right? Let me take something from here. CISA, then we have studied already IAAA in our previous sessions. In case if you have missed, let me know. I will share the links for that. So basically it is ensuring security, authentication, genuinity of the whole organization, because the entire organization data all depends upon the effective usage of the protocols with sufficient security features enabled. Okay, let's read this. By this we will understand where each of the protocols that we are going to discuss in detail will be used. In a typical enterprise organization, employees, when they log in to their workstations, what comes into the picture, or what comes into the operation, what gets activated? Kerberos. Okay, what it does, we'll understand about what is Kerberos and what and all it does. It connects to corporate Wi-Fi. Okay, sorry, these workstations, when they log in, the authentication and accessing of the services within the internal network. So basically we will distinguish by saying internal, within the organization. Kerberos will be playing the part of that authentication and authorization. When the users log in, authentication happens, and what services they access, the authorization part. Now all these things will happen within the with the usage of Kerberos. Okay, which in fact I'll not go in detail much. It will be sitting on domain controller. And we'll go in details. I will not go further. When the user want to connect through a laptop, he uses Wi-Fi. When the user is coming through or connecting to the corporate network, his organization, using a Wi-Fi through his laptop, radius will come into play. Okay, so we can say external. When external entity, user or the laptop machines trying to connect to the corporate network, for his activities that he need to perform on a day-to-day basis, radius protocol comes into picture. Okay, so we understood Kerberos for internal Active Directory, even Unix environment, so it all supports that. We will not go much further into that. So radius is for external, so this comes into play. Now the third one, Salesforce is one of the application I mentioned here, but it need not be. See, organization will have multiple application built in-house, or they have procured within the organization multiple applications, right? For multiple application, do you really need to provide multiple times of authentication? Username, password, username, every time you access one application you have to provide. In theoretically you have to provide. Without providing multiple times passwords and credentials, this SAML, Security Assertion Markup Language, will solve that issue. SSO stands for single sign-on. That's what I meant to say. Multiple applications are there. Once your identity is confirmed, once your identity is validated, authenticated, using that assertion, that's why it's called markup, assertion markup language. Using that assertion, the user will be able to access multiple web applications within his organization without again providing password. In other words, single sign-on is the feature which gets implemented. What it solves? Password, I don't know, this is a new word for me either, for me too. Fatigue, GUE, password fatigue. Password fatigue leads to cyber security issues. How? You have to maintain multiple passwords, unique passwords, right? For suppose if there is no single sign-on, no SAML, when you are accessing multiple dozens of applications, business organization, enterprise organization means you have a lot of branches across the world, multiple branches. You might be working and accessing multiple applications for various purposes, from HR to finance, procurement, travels, bookings, so many things you'll be accessing. Every time if you have to password, you need to maintain a list of unique passwords. So what is the tendency, human tendency? You will avoid giving unique password. You will try to keep one password. Even that password is guessable. That password you might also write it down somewhere. So there's a good chance of password getting leaked or breached. Fatigue is not that. Fatigue means maintaining this many things will make him fatigue. Maintaining so many passwords, that's why you end up giving the same password, which is a security risk. Okay, so that solves the password fatigue issue. Single sign will solve, but there is also a big disadvantage, right? Single point of failure, SOF, single, what is single point of, SPOF, single point of failure. Since he is giving one time password, getting authenticated at the identity provider, will come into the terminologies. That identity is sufficient to access multiple applications. Since he is giving only one password to access multiple applications across the organization, if this password is breached, single password, with that breach, the person who has hacked that will be able to access multiple applications. Okay, but of course there are multi-factor authentications and other connected security mechanism which will not make this not dangerous. So this is very commonly used in enterprise network with the additional features of multi-factor authentication. Multi-factors, I think there is also one video which I have made, right? Multiplex means factor 1 means password secret that you know, factor 2 means OTP that you receive on mobile. So you should have mobile as a hacker. If you want to really hack it, you should have that person's mobile handset, and also you should know his secret password. So chances of having these two is very difficult. That's why it's called multi-factor, factor 1, factor 2, multi-factor authentication. So using that, more or less you can avoid breach. Okay, let's come back. So I was talking about IDP, identity provider. It can be Microsoft or Azure AD, where your user credentials are stored. It takes that, and once it gets authenticated organization, using that it access multiple applications. So that completes SAML, Radius, Kerberos, right? Now OIDC is nothing but identity authentication. Basically it's authentication. It always used in conjunction with OAuth. OAuth is a very interesting and the modern way of accessing the application. OAuth version 2. Best illustrative example. We all have some fitness habits, right? You might have joined some fitness you visit fitness center. They will provide you an app, fitness app. This app has your diet, your exercise schedule, and most important the calendar. Okay, we'll come to that. Now you have on your mobile fitness app, right? This fitness app needs a calendar, right? So when the user logs into this app and he start using this fitness app, you want to schedule some exercise regime on certain calendar. Since this app doesn't have its own calendar, what happens is it will access our regular Google Calendar. How it does that? When the user try to schedule, the request will go to Google account, your Google account. You provide the credentials. Since you already have the Google account, you provide the credentials. Okay, that's nothing but a kind of API call. Application 1 accessing an external application, a totally different application. User is confirming his identity through his account which is already subscribed long time back. Now very important here, Google has so many things, right? You have access to Google Drive, you have Google Maps, you have Google Sheets, you have Google Calendar, everything. But here the API call is only for Google Map, Google Calendar. So when he clicks on the schedule, when you want to access the calendar, it will ask you to first it asks the user to authenticate. User authenticates with username and password, and the API is authorized only to access the Google Calendar. It will not able to access anything else in this Google account. So that is specific authorization. Authorization code will be supplied, and this app will access only the Google Calendar, and he will be able to book an event depending on what level, whether he is only have a access to read the Google Calendar, whether he can edit and add the event, all that. So one of the application feature of Google, that is Google Calendar, is accessed by the fitness app by the authorization by the Google account which has. So what exactly it means, it never knows the user password, Google account password. Nowhere we are sharing the Google password in this fitness app, right? This is exactly what this provides. So OIDC is nothing but it also provides identity, the authentication. See, as I mentioned, authorization, right? What is the level of authorization? What is he can do with the Google Calendar is taken care by the OpenApp, whereas OIDC will ensure that who is the user, and by forms of tickets that we'll see when we discuss in detail. See, and Microsoft, this you can say Google Calendar, any external application. This is through API, application program interface. All these things happens in the form of access tokens, so specific to that application. TACCS is used for accessing the device administrative accesses. This is specifically designed for what level of access you have as an admin for various devices. It can be switches, it can be routers, any other devices. This kind of protocol is used. Okay. identity, I remember I told KDC sits on domain control. Domain control, you know, right? Domain controller will also contain Active Directory in Windows. So the same KDC is also used in Linux. So it serves both platforms when it comes to authentication. Okay, so it verifies the identity, user identity, device identity, and issues. These terms are very important. Ticket granting ticket. Ticket granting ticket means you are verified. Once you provides the even in Kerberos, user never sends the password. Okay, he always, it is a hash. Okay, it's a kind of a hash only, just as we study in other protocols. The moment it verifies, a ticket is given to that requester or the client.